Hey everybody, this is Ivan, I'm your host, and you are listening to Ivancast podcast. This is a podcast about music. I am in my house right now, here in the middle of the jungle in the Amazon rainforest. Yeah, this is the place where I live. This is the place where I produce my podcast. I'm surrounded by nature, lots of trees, animals, insects. I haven't seen a snake yet, but I promise I'll post a video on my Instagram whenever that happens. I am very happy to introduce you to my guest this week, one of my favorite bands from California, Foxtails Brigade. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to this podcast anywhere you can listen to podcasts. Thank you for doing this. This is so amazing.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting us.
You know how you convinced me is just by saying that you're in the Amazon. I just think that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
I know.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm here. I live in the Amazon rainforest. I am in Ecuador, and this is just unbelievable. You know, the way we can connect these days, right? And I love your sound. I'm a big fan of your music. I mean, it doesn't sound like anything else out there.
You.
And it's it's like an adventure listening to your music. You know, I'm living in a very special place, the Amazon rainforest. So going out for a walk in the nature and then listening to your music, it's really inspiring, you know. It takes me some really nice places.
Wow, thank you so much. That's really cool.
Yeah,
I love the idea of somebody doing that.
Well, I love the idea that you're in the Amazon, which is an adventure in and of itself, and then you're like, and your music takes me on an adventure.
It's like a double adventure.
You're already on an adventure.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious, are you you're just deep in the jungle or what? Or
Well,
is it...
not really. I mean, it's a small town here.
Okay.
But I live pretty much in the countryside, you know. And my house is like in a very special place, like a oasis. I'm surrounded by nature, you know. Fairy tale kind of house, you know, trees, animals, lots of animals. Bird watching. You can do bird watching here every day.
What are some of the kind of animals that surround where you live, near your house?
Yeah, so you can find, you know, birds, ants, centipedes, frogs. I haven't seen a snake yet. So
I was going to ask because right before we went on, I thought, isn't it crazy we're going to be talking to this guy who lives in the Amazon? Yeah. I mean, there might be a snake around the corner from his house.
No, I haven't seen one yet.
Wow, okay, that's interesting.
You know, tarantulas, frogs, lots of insects, you know, ants. Yeah, it's beautiful, you know. But if you go deep into the jungle, you can see monkeys and stuff, you know.
But you haven't seen any monkeys near your house or anything?
No. They don't live here.
So you live kind of near a city?
Exactly, I live 10 minutes from the city center.
In the middle of a lot of green.
Cool.
Yeah, I am. It's very green here. And if you check my Instagram, I bought a drone, some making some cool drone shots, and so if you watch my video that I uploaded a couple of weeks ago, you can have an idea of where I live. And I also read that you grew up in a house full of eccentricity. Can you tell me a little bit about how did you spend your time when you were a child?
This is Laura. I grew up in the Hollywood Hills in Los Angeles, and my dad is a writer and a director and producer of cult horror movies or sort of cult movies from the 70s. So he was doing that, and then my brother Brent is a stand-up comedian. He does kind of weird offbeat comedy. What?
Robert Weinbach, is he your dad?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I did my homework.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a stand-up comedian.
My
Super.
older brother's stand-up comedian. I have two
Cool.
younger brothers who are both musicians, and they also do comedy. And my mom, she played piano while I was growing up. And so, yeah, I mean, you know, my family sort of embraced the arts. And I grew up
Nice.
next door. My next door neighbors were a big part of my life, and they were like kind of crazy. Actor. Well, the dad was a stuntman, and his two daughters.
Tell me a little
What?
bit. Tell me a little bit more about your neighbors.
Well, they're not. I mean, I wouldn't describe them as like famous people, but they were also very eccentric. Like the dad of the two girls that live next door to me, who I was really close with. Their dad is a stuntman. And the two daughters, one of them is a contortionist. She's sort of like the go-to contortionist in Hollywood. She's in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
And then their older sister is a designer and an actress. And like they had all these crazy animals at their house.
That's
and I would go over
crazy.
there and we'd hang out with like their emu. They had an emu and they had two monkeys, fang-toothed monkeys that were like really scary. A lot of chickens and two dogs and a parrot.
It sounds like the Amazon rainforest.
It was like they just collected animals, and they had like two goats that were just
Amazon of the
around.
Hollywood Hills.
And they had like a huge trampoline and a giant tree house that like you could swing from and land in a giant net. And they just had their house was like designed to look kind of like a castle. It was just a really crazy house, and they were really kind of fun neighbors to have, and they always had the coolest toys growing up. Like just they would always get the latest, coolest, newest toys. Somehow they managed to just get stuff. I think it was because they did a lot of, I don't know, maybe commercials, or maybe it was their aunt. Their aunt was like in the circus. Not aunt, their grandma. So their grandmother of their dad, the mother of the dad she was like in vaudeville, and she was also in a circus performer. I think she was an acrobat. And so, yeah. And then their dad, like he was an actor growing up. So they just had all kinds of people in and out of their house and all kinds of stuff going on there that was crazy. And we would spend our days going snail hunting in the canyon around my house.
Nice.
Because we lived like in the hills. And so it was a weird sort of combination of like actors and Hollywood people, but also like nature and trees and sort of hillside,
wonderful
canyon region.
That sounds fantastic.
I grew up, I didn't see any tarantulas, but there had been scorpions in our house. There had been centipedes, a lot of centipedes. That was a real fear factor for me. And we would go snail hunting. We would snail hunt in the canyon and collect snails in these jars, and we would build forts in like, you know, kind of these foresty areas that we would find. And then we would steal oranges from people's backyards, and we would also spy on Slash from Guns N' Roses, who lived down the street.
Ooh, wow.
We would see him getting in and out of his van. Me and another neighbor, my friend Casey, lived across the canyon, and I used to be able to call to her from my house, like just across the canyon, like with my voice. So I'd be like yelling across from my deck to her backyard, Casey! And then Larry from Perfect Strangers. I don't know if you remember that show from the 80s and 90s.
TV show.
I don't
It's a
think
TV
so.
show. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how famous it was around the world, but he was a neighbor, and he would hear us yelling at each other, and he'd go, "Shut up!"
Oh god.
And so I'd be like, "Come and meet me down by the tree or whatever," and we would go meet up, and then we would go spy on Slash, getting in his van.
Wow. Unbelievable.
And like, well, that's LA. Yeah, it was a total LA
That's
scene.
LA,
And then
right?
like, what's kind of funny and ironic is not ironic, but just a coincidence, is that all these years later, Anton would eventually get hired by Slash to play on one of his albums.
Okay. So how many are you in the band? It's just you and Anton right now, or how many people?
It rotates.
Well, this year it's just me and Laura because we're married. So we when the pandemic hit, we were quarantined together, and so we've been doing the band. We've been doing shows every Monday night, just the two of us.
Cool.
Yeah.
I saw that on the web. You were doing live sessions, live streams,
Yeah.
right?
That's right.
Yeah. The show is called Parlor Shift. We just do it, on Facebook.
Awesome, yeah. I saw a couple of videos on
It's on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch.
Nice. Twitch, all right. Cool.
It's just casting simultaneously on all of them. Yeah.
Sounds awesome. So I've never been to the West Coast. I've been to the East Coast, New York. So I definitely want to visit the LA and Los Angeles, California.
Did you go to New York when you went to the East Coast?
Yeah.
That's the best.
Absolutely, New York.
Yeah, that's hard to beat.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's the best city in the U.S.
For sure,
opinion.
My younger brothers live there currently.
Cool. So what's going on in LA right now? I've heard that people are leaving LA. Is that true? Comedians, for example. I've heard of a couple of comedians.
I really don't know about all that. My brother,
leaving LA?
My older brother Brent, who's a comedian, he still lives in LA, and he had moved to the Bay Area for a long time because all three of my brothers went to college up here at UC Berkeley, so they were all living in the Bay Area when I first moved out here, and then they eventually, Brent, the comedian, moved back down to LA because all the comedians in the Bay Area seemed to be going to LA.
Yeah,
and there was just the whole crew of comedians that my brother sort of came up with. None of them pretty much live here anymore, except for maybe one or two. But there was just like this really cool, fun comedy scene that was going on when my brother was here, like 10 years ago. Sure. Well, maybe 8 years ago. And then either moved to LA or New York. I don't know I know there's a lot of comedians still in LA. I don't know about a migration happening out of LA. it could be true.
Yeah. Maybe taxes or traffic, people complaining about
because of traffic.
Yeah, traffic.
Well, yeah, it's notorious for traffic.
Yeah.
But there's traffic everywhere. I don't know. I guess the traffic in LA is bad, but the thing was when I was growing up there and living there for the earlier part of my 20s, my experience with traffic, I think, was a lot worse than other people's because I didn't have air conditioning in my car, and if you don't have that in LA, it's just terrible. Because it's so hot, and it gets really hot there. Mm-hmm. And when you're stuck in the traffic, it's just there's no way out of it. But I think if I had had air conditioning, I don't think it would have been that much worse than anywhere else that has traffic.
Yeah, LA is a great place to live if you're like working in the creative industry.
Yeah.
But it's not like the kind of paradise that I don't know. I think Northern California is like a nicer weather and nicer. There's trees and stuff. LA's more in the desert, so it's not as pretty.
I definitely want to go to California.
But there's a lot of traffic. There's a lot of things that are hard about living in LA.
You kind of do need a car to be down there. That's the main thing.
Sure.
Maybe that's
pretty much in the whole U.S., right?
Oh, I was going to say maybe that's why you associate it. Maybe why people associate it with traffic is because there's not a lot of public transport.
Yeah.
But what were you going to say?
So no, I was thinking, growing up in LA, was music something that you always knew that you wanted to do for the rest of your life, or what instrument did you start playing? For example?
I can answer first, I guess. My mom started me on piano when I was really little, which I eventually stopped when I was around 5, probably because I didn't like it very much at first. But I always sang as long as I can remember. I always liked singing. I didn't know I was going to be a singer one day, but I think it hit me for the first time when I was around 19 and I had played my first show. It was at the California Institute of Abnormal Arts in LA.
Abnormal
Arts? Which was like this really weird club in the Valley that had like a dead clown and a glass coffin in there and all these other weird things. But yeah, after that first show, I was hooked. I was like, this is what I want to do forever.
Cool.
But I started playing guitar when I was around 17. So I started pretty late in terms of like getting to know my instrument and stuff, but music was always part of my life. Anton?
Oh, I have a crazy relationship with music because my parents are both professional musicians.
Okay.
And they got me lessons when I was 5, and piano lessons, and then I switched to violin when I was 8. But I didn't want to be a professional musician for a long time. But then eventually I just couldn't help it, and my
It
whole
just
life
happens.
is music now. I write music I produce other artists, and I write music for film and TV stuff.
Okay, all right.
And it's
Wow.
great. It's super fun. I
Yeah.
love it. So
Sounds awesome. So you play the violin, right? And piano.
Violin was my second instrument. Piano was my first instrument. But yeah, violin got me a lot of work for a long time. I was a professional violin player for a long time.
The violin, cool. Were you actually good at school?
I was.
Yeah. Or were you often sent to the...
I wasn't too good. I was pretty good in elementary school, okay in junior high, terrible in high school, and then I became really good in college.
Okay.
But I went through a lot of different phases.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's amazing, all your stories growing up in LA. You might have gotten a lot of inspiration, what's kind of the vision behind your art? Can you explain the world, the universe of Foxtails Brigade? Where does your inspiration come from?
It's been an evolutionary kind of process of inspiration, because Foxtails Brigade has been around now for a while. It started off as my solo project, and the name Foxtails Brigade comes from one of the first songs I wrote, which was called Foxtails Brigade. Okay. It's not really available anywhere except on a 7-inch record that we still have copies of, but it won't be around after that. It sells out. But yeah, that came from a poem I wrote when I was around 17. And that was largely inspired by this band that I was really obsessed with called Fawn Fables. And they were just really aligned with the stuff that I was into at that time, which was very much about kind of loss of innocence and dark fairy tales and just the world of fairy tales and magic and things like that, and kind of the underlying themes that go along with that. And for a really long time, I think that was where a lot of my inspiration came from for writing the songs.
You were into that?
And sort of the mystery that lies beyond the veil, so to speak. And I still get inspiration from a lot of that sort of stuff. But I think it's definitely changed over the years into a lot more sort of disappointment and general defeatism, or feelings of being defeated has been a large part of the inspiration behind a lot of the songs that have come out in the more recent albums and stuff.
Becoming adults.
So, but it's always changing. I mean, it's just whenever inspiration strikes, I just try to take it when it comes, and I also try to manifest it on my own. But I don't know, lately I've had some ideas about writing songs about vampires. I think I have a bunch. I was thinking about doing a collection of songs that were just based on on vampire lore and vampire lifestyles.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Vampires.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. I like that. What would you say was like the moment in your career when you had your big break, so to say? There is always like a moment.
Yeah, we haven't had that moment yet. Still waiting for that one, but would love for it to happen.
We've kind of taken the slower route of kind of slowly just building up fans. And
not by choice, but no, I mean, I'm
Laura
happy
would love to have an overnight.
Well, I would love to have a break, as they say.
We did have one, which was La Vie en Rose, when La Vie en Rose suddenly went viral on YouTube.
Well, that was not really for Foxtails Brigade. That wasn't like a Foxtails Brigade break.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was a jazz song, but
we have a different project.
It did get us a lot more followers.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we have a side project called Laura and Anton, which is like a French cafe and jazz sort of sounding thing.
Okay, cool. And there is something I really love about your music, and it's actually the sound, the production. So I read that Jeff Salzman was the producer of one of your albums. Is he the producer of all your music?
Oh, no, he just produced one album, which is the self-titled 2016 Foxtails Brigade album.
All the new stuff we just do at home.
Yeah, Anton produced all that.
Anton, you are the producer. Okay.
Like the newest songs.
Awesome.
Give Me a Sign and Hurry Up, John, which you were playing earlier.
I produce other artists.
We do that
too.
from home.
Nice.
I am a producer, so
Yeah.
You are a producer.
Yeah.
Professional producer. Awesome. Did you learn that by yourself? Did you go to college?
YouTube University. Just
YouTube University.
Just YouTube.
All right, cool.
And a year
I'm also learning a lot on YouTube right now.
Cool.
Yeah, I have a MIDI keyboard, my drone, and my laptop.
Cool.
And you must have a microphone since we're talking to you.
Yeah, and a microphone. I'm making music. I'm a bassist, you know. I played bass guitar when I was in Germany. I lived in Germany for a long time.
What part?
In Bielefeld. Was a small city. I also lived in Hamburg for a while and spent a couple of months in Berlin.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I don't know. I think I've got Germanized in a way, you know. So when you live in Germany, it's very cold in winter. So you kind of want to live in a tropical country, you know. That's why when I came back to Ecuador, I decided no, I don't want to live in a big city, you know. I want to live in the rainforest, you know. And I came here, and that was 5 years ago.
Awesome.
I've never left here. That's the reason why I ended up here. You know?
Nice. Well, I got to tell you that all the gear that you said you have, you got everything you need. You can make awesome recordings from that stuff. You don't need anything else.
Yeah. A laptop,
computer,
a microphone.
I guess. I assume you must have a computer.
Yeah. Computer, microphone, MIDI keyboard.
So you're good. You're all set.
And my drone. Yeah, I'm all set now.
Yeah, nice. For the videos. Yeah, you gotta be able to make videos these days. It's not just music.
We gotta make videos, absolutely. Yeah, with a lot of filters, you know, crazy filters. All right. So I also think that your music sounds very, you know, sincere, honest, transparent. So I'm always wondering, like, if you're an artist or writer, is it a difficult process to write all that music, or is it more like a cathartic kind of thing?
I don't think it's what's difficult sometimes is just writing the lyrics in general. Like I'm not very good at just spitting out lyrics on the spot. I mean, sometimes I can be. It depends, but
you're pretty good.
But I feel like my favorite songs or the ones that I feel like are really speaking to something that has, for me, meant the most, I guess, are the ones that I probably had to meditate on and think about for a really long time. But in terms of being able to just be honest, I think that music is the easiest way to do that because it's a medium that I feel comfortable in expressing myself versus like trying to put things into just prose or words, you know, when I'm speaking can be more challenging, I feel like, than being able to just say something in the form of a song. And I have a really hard time when people ask me, like, what do these lyrics mean? Because
that must be a hard
I feel
question.
like the meaning is in the lyrics. So look at the lyrics for the meaning, not to me putting them in other words, because that was me putting my intention, all of my intention into those specific words, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Your EP, Give Me a Sign, is out now. Can we talk a little bit about it? How did you come up with the idea for that name? Are there any cool stories?
One thing that I want to
explain
something right now. What we're doing right now is we're releasing new singles every month. And what we're basically, the Give Me a Sign EP is kind of an EP. But it's also just like Give Me a Sign, which is the new single, with all the old singles as the other tracks. And we have a newer one now that's Control, and the second track on that is Give Me a Sign, and then the rest of the tracks are all the other tracks. It's just kind of like basically a way for people who just discovered us for the first time to hear more than one song when they listen to our new single.
Oh, I got it.
So yeah.
To add to that, I will say, like, in the past when we've released entire albums, for example, the 2016 self-titled LP that was produced by Jeff Saltzman, the traditional way of releasing an album would usually be to choose one or two songs that would be the single, and that you would push those songs really hard and they would get all the attention. Who knows if the other songs would ever get listened to. I mean, the hope is that your album would go platinum or whatever, that you'd sell a ton of copies and people would listen to everything. But for us, that's just not how it worked, unfortunately. And I felt like after that came out, a little bit bummed that some of the songs that were really close to my heart really fell by the wayside. I feel like they just did not get listened to very much, or, you know, in terms of seeing how they did online, like on Spotify or whatever, where you can see the numbers. There were certain songs that were my personal favorites that almost nobody listened to. They would listen to the singles.
Something burning.
Yeah. Numbers.
It still smells like
so
it, you might want to check on that.
Okay.
What?
So I get it. It's an interesting way to do that, because now I'm checking on Spotify. You started in 2020 with Hurry Up John. It has 3 tracks,
so
and
this
then
way
Give Me a
is
Sign has 4
a way
tracks.
for us to like promote each song and actually feel like maybe each song has a shot of getting listened to, you know, and not just falling by the wayside. Because for us, it's harder. You know, we don't really have like a huge team of people behind us doing all the different things that like a record label would do, or it's just us. And so we have to kind of think of ways to, you know, make sure that the work we're doing is somehow going to get heard. So, you know, this is a new way and we're trying it. It seems like it's working kind of all right. So,
well, at least
we're going to keep doing it.
At least every time something comes out, you get a little bump. So, in terms of people listening, so we get a little bump. So it's definitely better than just releasing one thing and getting one bump.
Absolutely.
We're getting a bump for every song.
And I will say this, like, so for example, you asked about Give Me a Sign. Why is that EP called that or whatever? Well, we are tying all these songs together. There is like a link between them. They're not just singles that are coincidentally coming out on these EPs, because there's going to be an end to that. Like, in other words, we have a certain collection of songs that we're going to release as singles, and then they will all eventually become one album. And they do fit together in a specific way. And so it's not just random.
You're just getting it one piece at a time.
Yeah, you're getting it one piece at a time. But like each of the songs in a way could be a title track to the album.
Nice. I got it.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like a really cool technique.
So like,
Spotify techniques.
And then there's going to be a point where we have new themes or like new songs that are maybe not as easily able to fit into that sort of concept album, if you will. And those will have a new album, you know, and then who knows what we'll do. Like maybe we'll release them in a different kind of way. But but yeah, that's kind of what's happening right now with these current monthly releases, is they do all fit together in a way that
monthly
will be
releases
cohesive.
Sounds pretty cool. Yeah. Now, your sound has also changed over the time. I mean, I can hear some electronic sounds now, 80 sounds, new wave in some tracks. Can we maybe talk a little bit about that, you know, a little bit? Can we get into your tracks a little bit more, break them down a little bit?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've always listened to, I mean, I've you know, grew up listening and was influenced very much by like bands like Depeche Mode and the Smiths, and I think that was just kind of seeping its way eventually into the sound that we were doing. But these songs, we were just trying different things on the production. We really liked a lot of these synth sounds that we found for them, and felt like they really fit the vibe of the song. However, there might be another version of, for example, "Slave" is one that I'd imagine you're probably thinking is one of the more 80s sounding.
Yeah,
80s
yeah.
Slave.
Yeah. Slave.
Slave.
Let's analyze that song, okay? So it's a podcast. People should
Okay.
learn something here. So maybe we can analyze that song. We can talk a little bit about the form, melody, harmony. Orchestration.
Yeah. The guitar and vocals came first for that song and the lyrics. And I knew that I didn't want it to just be guitar and voice. Like that did not seem to represent the feeling or the vibe of the song at all. I just needed that as my skeleton. But I knew immediately that I wanted to have synths on it and probably electric guitar. So, Anton, take it from there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can tell you things like this. The synth that opens the track is it's an FM8 patch. FM8 is a plugin from Native Instruments.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's what I want to hear. Yes.
Yeah, and that's based on like FM synthesis is kind of a very 80s style of very popular synthesis in the 80s.
Yeah.
And we have things like another thing on that track. I wish I had the sounds with me right now. I don't have them with me, but there's a sound that goes ah. And what that is I took Laura's voice, I cut out her voice, and I played it up high with a ton of reverb. I mapped it to a keyboard.
My voice.
I sampled a piece of her voice. I mapped it to a keyboard and played it as an instrument up high, dun, dun, and I used it on like and one. So
as a pickup to the verse.
Yeah, as a pickup and a downbeat, and it basically functions as a crash cymbal.
Cool.
Like a transition.
Anytime where like a lot of times when you have a crash cymbal, you put that at the beginning of the verse or at the beginning of a new section. I was trying to not have to have crashes, so I tried doing it with just this vocal sample and a ton of reverb on her voice.
Cool. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, a ton of reverb on it. Yeah. So that's one of the more fun sounds.
But the nylon, I play nylon guitar, and that's you'll find that in every song.
Laura, you have it right there. You want to play? Just show us what it sounds like.
Sure. So the main riff that I started with on that song was
nylon guitar. Cool.
Yes, I can play it for you. I don't know if you can hear this. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Yeah.
So that was probably the first thing that came. No, that came after the I think the idea for the song came.
Oh, yeah, this one, the lyrics came first.
The lyrics might have come first.
You wrote the whole lyrics, and then we came up
Not
with
the whole lyrics.
Almost, but yeah, like...
but the idea for it. And then that guitar riff came. I knew I wanted to use it somehow, but I think that the thing that we needed to have in all of our recordings in order to kind of unify, because that was such a departure from our typical, or from our sound in general, as people had come to know it, was that we needed to have my nylon guitar be in everything. So you will hear that in every recording, pretty much.
Yeah. Nylon guitar, cool.
Even it, like as far away from the original Foxtails Brigade sound as it might seem we've come, that will always be an element.
Yeah, that's one thing that we learned from Jeff Saltzman is that it's important for a band to have a sound, and so you find these things that are on every track. Like when on that album, part of the sound of that album was we had this windy toy.
Yeah,
it's like sound, and it was on every track,
like clockwork kind of clicks and clanks.
And I try to use that a lot. And Laura's guitar is her signature thing. Like she's you always hear this nylon guitar on there.
Well, that's the thing that's been in everything from the beginning.
Yeah,
so I feel like we kind of have to have it in everything.
Cool.
Yeah, we tried doing a track where Laura played electric guitar, and it just wasn't the same. It didn't work.
I might record electric guitar on some stuff, but that doesn't mean we are not going to also have nylon.
That's awesome.
Right.
That's awesome. That's right. sampling sounds.
Oh yeah,
it's really cool. I'm also kind of experimenting now, and I'm thinking of starting sampling nature sounds.
Yeah, that's cool.
You gotta do that, man. That's gonna
Sure. Yeah, I just gotta go outside,
man.
Oh man.
and
Yeah.
and I can hear a lot of
I have a
nature
friend
sounds
who
here.
he does a lot of sound design and like recording, like field recording stuff. His name's Chris Flieger. He goes by Cooling. He has like a sound / music project called Cooling Prongs. And I also have a podcast called Totally Tell Me, which is like I do it with our drummer Dominic, and we just talk about movies, and we have guests on every time. Our last episode had that guy Chris on it. And he was telling us about how he had recently done a crazy field recording where he mic'd the inside of a dead deer's brain being eaten by maggots.
Wow, really?
So he sampled the sound of maggots eating a dead deer's brain.
Wow.
And it sounded crazy.
Unbelievable.
He played it?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Not on the show, but he played it for me after.
Really?
Because he doesn't want people to steal it?
No, it was just like it wasn't available at the time. But like, anyway, it was just cool.
Wow.
That's fun.
But he does a lot of weird, cool stuff like that. And I think, I don't know what kind of mic one needs to have in order to capture those kinds of sounds, but
probably contact mic for that.
Yeah. But like, I imagine being in the Amazon, you could get some really amazing, crazy stuff.
Yeah, can't wait to hear what you come out with.
Yeah,
a lot of weird stuff coming out. I love that. There's so much you can do nowadays, right? You just need a cell phone.
Yeah, I mean, like I heard like Kanye West's new album was mostly done on a cell phone.
Yeah, really. Yeah, you see. I'm trying to do it all on my cell phone these days. I don't know how old are you guys, but I grew up in the 90s.
Yeah, we did too.
Kind of.
All right, you did too.
Well,
so it's crazy, right? And I think I talk about this in every episode, but life before the internet and after the internet, it's just so different,
Totally, and it's a great time to be creative, like because we have like the tools that we have now.
Sure, yeah,
are so powerful. I mean, we can basically make anything.
Yeah, we can be producers with a phone. And I love your videos, by the way. Who's responsible for the concepts, the concept of your visuals? And I watch your video. We are not yourselves today.
Yeah, so we worked with the director on that one.
Well, our director for that was our drummer Dominic Mercurio, and so he really had the vision for that in terms of like the concept and storyline and the direction. And I got to do the art directing on it, so I did all the set designs and props and makeup and costumes and hair and stuff.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun.
And that was shot in our house, pretty much, where we live in Oakland. But yeah, we had a really great team of people on board for that video. So Dominic directed it, and then his good friend was our director of photography, Matt Rome, who like kind of got all the lighting together, and it just was a labor of love. And we got to make a really great video. And we had a lot of good people involved, like talented people who were willing to basically work for nothing, and it was just a gift.
I love it.
And even so, it was still expensive. So film doing a high budget, or sorry, doing like a high production video is expensive.
Yeah,
it's a big project, and you need to have a lot of people who really know what they're doing. Like lighting, you need to have someone that really knows lighting and knows lenses.
Which Matt Rome does.
So we had a director of photography. So there was a big group of professional filmmakers that
but even though they were mostly like basically working for nothing, it still cost. I mean, it was, well, compared to some videos, it was very little. We spent like what, $5,000 on it total.
But that's completely just from now. That's 5,000. Like we can't afford to do that really ever again. So
eventually,
I mean, unless we hit it big. But but I think that we were talking about how music, you can kind of do anything with the cell phone, and I think film, there's still a lot. It's still hard to get great stuff if you need to have you probably need some lights, or I don't know.
Sure.
You can
Yeah,
do a
sure.
lot with
Absolutely,
for
yeah.
free.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We're trying to
We made another video
figure
since
it,
then.
get better at doing it
Mhm.
ourselves, so we don't have to
Mhm.
spend $5,000 for every
Yeah,
video.
yeah, it's a lot of
Well,
money.
how much? So we made that My Favorite Things video. I don't know if you saw that one. We also shot that.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
We shot that one in our house. That was directed by
okay.
Anton,
Uh-huh.
and I did the art direction on that one too.
Nice. I love it. Yeah.
And we had
That one we did not. Yeah, so we didn't like hire a huge crew. We just
we had one professional,
one professional,
which was our
cinematographer.
our director of photography.
Yeah.
One professional.
And then we also rented some like fancy gear, fancy light for that.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't.
how much did we spend on that?
$1,500.
$1,500 on that one. Pretty good.
All right, cool. Pretty good. Yeah, pretty good.
So like,
you see, it's unbelievable.
but it was
huh?
funny because Anton like wanted to do this video idea, thinking like, okay, if we can make this video and make it seem like we're in just one room and it's one continuous shot where it looks like the camera is just panning in a circular motion around the room, then it will be way easier than if we like
cheaper.
have cuts and cheaper, thinking that would just be a way to do a cheap video. And that was actually the one thing that made the video really hard and expensive.
No, not expensive.
Well, not expensive, but difficult because we had to do like a lot of special effects and stuff to make it look like
so
that.
I had to learn After Effects.
Yeah, After Effects.
Which
yeah.
was kind of hard to learn.
Yeah.
I mean, not that hard though.
I'm kind of learning that too.
I don't know. Of all the things,
a lot of video
I
editing.
learned a lot of stuff this year.
Yeah.
And that was,
Cool.
last year.
Yeah.
And that was not the hardest thing I learned, but it definitely took me a couple months to get it down.
Sure.
Yeah.
The pandemic.
But as far as like art direction and stuff goes, a lot of the times I'll just I'll go crazy like at the store. I'll go to like a really cool store like World Market or something, and I'll spend like $1,000 on just stuff that looks cool and that I think I can use. I'll have a color concept or something like that, and I'll just get stuff that's aligned with the colors, and I just buy whatever I want, and then I'll shoot the video, and then I return it, all of it.
Nice.
So I don't actually have to spend money on props.
Yeah.
Even though I do own a lot of cool stuff, but that is a way to do it. Don't tell World Market.
I think there's so that's a trick to lower your budget. Buy and return.
Yeah, sure. Listen, this it was really nice talking to you. This has been a great experience.
Thank you. Yeah, totally. Thank you so
It
much
was
for
fun.
having us. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. My pleasure. I think you definitely deserve way more attention and popularity. Is that what you want?
Oh, I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah. we want to share our music with the whole world if we can.
Yeah. Well, at least you're gonna get some listeners in South America. I have some audience here in Ecuador, Argentina. Are you?
Yeah. Yep.
You're on
Foxtails
Instagram.
Brigade.
Foxtails Brigade on Instagram.
Yep.
We're on Instagram, on Facebook, YouTube. We have a website, foxtailsbrigade.com.
Nice.
And that has links to everything else.
Yeah, and if you're interested in checking us out, go to the website, sign up for the mailing list. We send out lots of like free things, free songs, free videos, and it's a lot of stuff that's not available anywhere else. So get on the mailing list.
All right. Everybody go and check it
I
out.
hope
Thank you so much.
Foxtails Brigade.
That'd be so cool to get to come down there someday.
Yeah, sure. I have some listeners in Argentina and Ecuador. They have great music in Argentina. I've had some good guests from Argentina here on the podcast.
Can I ask how you found out about us? I'm just curious.
I found about you on Bandcamp. Yeah. Bandcamp is a good source for cool, fresh music. I love the reviews, and Bandcamp is pretty cool. Yeah?
We love it. They are based in our city, Oakland.
Oh, are they? Really cool. Nice. See yourself in the future, like 5 years from now.
It's so hard to say. There's just
In the
no
future.
telling. Like 5 years ago, I thought I would be at a certain place in time, or well, not time, but thought I would be, in a different position than I'm in now, and who knows what 5 years from now will hold.
Yeah.
It's just hard to say.
Yeah, sure.
would like to be touring. I would like to be touring more, though. I can say that. I love touring. I love playing shows. That's like the thing that I enjoy.
Yeah,
playing arenas in Argentina, maybe.
Yeah, and in Ecuador.
In
Ecuador.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to any Latin American countries?
Mexico.
I've been to Mexico. I've been to Costa Rica, which was really cool. I would like to go to Cuba. I would love to go to South America. I mean, I think that would be a really amazing experience.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, but I have not been to South America.
Same.
Yeah.
Me neither. Oh, is that what you were asking?
Oh, yeah, we've been to Europe.
We've been to Europe
all
a lot.
around Europe.
Europe, okay. Yeah.
We also went to Indonesia, and Laura went to China.
I've been to China.
To Japan.
Oh, okay. All over the world. Did you play there?
We played all these places.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. China and Japan. Okay.
No,
I played in Japan with. I used to be in a band called Bright Ice, and we toured all around the world.
Oh, cool.
Anton's been in a lot more bands than me.
Around the world. Cool. So, what's the audience like in Japan, for example, or in China?
Different. Well, in China, it's very different.
In Japan, they were very like quiet, and like they don't like when you're playing, they're very respectful and quiet, and you think that they don't like it because they're like being so quiet.
They don't move.
But then afterwards, they go crazy. In between songs, they go crazy.
Really?
Well, actually, in China. Sorry, come to think of it, when I played in China, I played at these like expat clubs, so it was not really that Chinese, But I mean, actually, there was just the scene in China was a very different kind of feeling. But I also played in Hong Kong, apart from Beijing. So I was in Beijing and played in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is very westernized, so it wasn't that different than here or Europe or something like that. But in Indonesia, it was really, really different, I have to say.
Cool.
They were really nice, but it was just a very mixed crowd. There's a lot of Muslim people there, like, wearing burqas and stuff like that. And so you can't really see their faces you can't see people's expressions when they're watching you, which is something that I realize I depend on as a performer to see kind of what the connection is, how connections transcend, of course, appearance, like physical appearance. But when you can't see people's expression, I guess it does change things a little bit, because you're like, do they hate me, or are they smiling under there, or are they into it? And I don't know. It was just kind of interesting, but it was cool. I loved going to Indonesia. Yeah. And then we went to Bali afterwards, which was heavenly.
Cool.
But
cool. So
that was just a really cool experience.
You've been all over the place.
Yeah, we're lucky to have gotten to travel as much as we have and play all these crazy places.
Nice. Absolutely. So thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. I really like your music, and I don't know, do you want to play something?
We totally could.
Yeah.
Sure.
That will be awesome. I don't know if the sound's going to be perfect, but...
Yeah. Oh, okay.
What do you want to play? Something we practiced?
Yeah.
Sure. How about... Well, why don't you just Give Me a Sign, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
What song
we
are you going to play?
One of our newer singles, which is Give Me a Sign.
Give Me a Sign. All right. Okay.
Okay. Hold on. What's that?
So let's call it a day. Thank you so much for being on the show, and let's listen to Give Me a Sign.
Sure. Thank you.
Here, live on Ivancast podcast. Thank you so much.
To an empty world, told yourself the door could stand
it's not like give me a sign. Show me now the time is overdue. Something I could turn to. I believed in every lie. Tell me it was all true. Tell me it was all true. Tell me it was all true. Tell me it was all true.
Wow. That was amazing. Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a great night.
Yeah, you too.
When is this going to go up? Can I ask?
April 16th or April 17th. So I will let you know. And Saturday is like Friday or Saturday. I usually upload my episodes.
Great.
Cool. So we'll try to post it.
Yeah, cool. Sure, for sure. Yeah, cool. Cut Chemis was last week on the show, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was unbelievable. I am a big hip hop fan, so having him on the show was an amazing experience. Kaleta too, you know, from Nigeria.
Man.
Yeah, Kaleta.
Yeah, you're doing great. Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you. He played with Fela Kuti, you know, in the 80s.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I'm really into Afrobeat. So it was.
Oh yeah, man. Fela Kuti is one of my favorites.
I'm also checking my YouTube right now. Jack Conti, he posted.
He's a friend of ours,
right? Really? Wow, cool. I'm a big fan of Jack Conti. He's a great artist, right? Wow, cool.
Yeah, he's a friend of ours. He's a great musician himself.
I will say that they did help us quite a bit when they posted that video.
He's the owner of Patreon, right? I'm on Patreon also.
Nice.
Patreon. Yeah, so in case Jack Conti is listening to this, hi. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.